الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today's lecture is not an actual lecture, as usual. You know, I don't give lectures. It is a hadith. And this is what I usually love to do. Bring an ayah, explain it. Bring a hadith, explain it. Because a lot of talk does not benefit you. You usually, by reaching the end of it, you forget the very beginning. But when you have a compass that shows you your direction, then you can follow that and feel good about it. All the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ are beautiful. And this hadith especially has an extra edge to it. And I will explain to you why after we go through the hadith, insha'Allah. The hadith was authenticated by Imam Ahmad himself. When he made this hadith one of the sources of Sharia. Al-Irbad ibn Sariyah, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Prophet ﷺ once preached us in a very beautiful sermon, which made our hearts soft, and we wept out of it because it was touching. So we said, O Prophet of Allah, it is as if it's an advice of farewell. So give us some advice. So the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, and this is the advice of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam to his companions. Can we as Muslims find any better advice? Definitely not. So what was his advice? Listen and contemplate upon his beautiful advice. He says, I advise you to fear Allah and to hear and obey. Even if an Ethiopian, Abyssinian slave is appointed over you, those of you who live will see a lot of differences arise. So, I urge you to adhere to my Sunnah and the Sunnah of the rightly guided Khulafa. Clench your moral teeth onto it. Beware of newly innovated things, for every innovation takes people astray. What a beautiful hadith. This hadith constitutes, in the times we live in, times of calamities, times of tribulations, times of trials, and times of fitan. This hadith constitutes a road map. You follow it, you will be saved with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the first instruction, I advise you to fear Allah. Taqwa Allah. What a beautiful advice. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, and we have instructed those who were given the scriptures before you and yourselves to fear Allah. This is Allah's instruction. So whenever someone tells you, Akhi, fear Allah, don't be agitated and say, me? You want me to fear Allah? Yes. What's wrong in that? People take it as an insult. When you see someone and you say, Akhi, fear Allah, they get angry, they get agitated, which means that there is some hypocrisy in their hearts. Whenever someone tells you, fear Allah, you say, may Allah make me among those who fear Him. Ya Rab. But if you feel agitated and irritated, then this means that there is hypocrisy in your heart. Fearing Allah, what does it mean? Fearing Allah means that you must be a committed Muslim, abiding by the Quran and the Sunnah, inside, out. It means that you must implement the Sunnah in all aspects of your life and not to be selective. I like to grow the beard because people, when they see me, give me authority. So whenever I enter a government department, they say, Sheikh, please come in the front row. And now with the white, I usually bend my back and say, Assalamu alaikum. And all doors are open, mashallah. It's good. So I'm selective. But when I come to verses of charity and giving in the cause of Allah, I always put my hands behind my back. I don't want to pay. I'm not fearing Allah. Fearing Allah means that you come to your life and implement the Sunnah to the letter. And not select what you like and leave what you do not like. The same example I give in most of my lectures. You want to know if you are a true Muslim? Islam is a frame. Islam is a frame. Your life is the picture. You put the frame on your life and cut the loose ends from your life. Get rid of it. Now you're a real Muslim. Because the frame fits your life 100%, like a glove. Muslims are not fearing Allah Azza wa Jal. They put the frame on their lives, which is the picture, but they cannot compromise this end. And there is a lot of things that they love, and their desires prevent them from leaving it. So what they do, they break the edges of the frame. They bring some branches, pieces of wood, put some nails, duct tape, Yoo-hoo glue. At the end, they have a frame that fits their life, their picture. But it doesn't look at all like Islam. It's a new religion. It's a new frame. These people are not fearing Allah Azza wa Jal as Allah instructed. And this is why when we implement Islam, we have to have the balance, which without knowledge, you cannot attain the balance. What balance are we talking about? Some of the Muslims, when they get committed to Islam, they become violent. They become extreme, and people run away from them. And on the other side, some think that Islam is to compromise the deen. Everything is ma'alesh, halal. It's a different opinion among scholars. They have cocktail, Islam of cocktail. They mix everything inside. And this is, both sides are wrong. Fearing Allah means that you act like the Prophet ﷺ used to act. He wasn't a violent person, but at the same time, he wasn't a weak person. And this is why I always use this slogan. Islam is a religion of peace without weakness. Just because I'm peaceful doesn't mean that I will put my head down and walk in humility and allow you to disgrace Islam and to slander it, and I would not reply. No, Islam is a religion of peace without weakness. A religion of strength without violence. A religion of pride without arrogance. As a Muslim, I wake, let me rephrase that, edit please. As a Muslim, I walk with my head up high, but not in arrogance. or harming people. I do not compromise my deen. I implement my deen to the letter, with diplomacy, with wisdom, with kindness, with knowledge. This is part of fearing Allah Azza wa Jal. The second advice, the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, I advise you to fear Allah and to hear, mean to listen, and obey, even if an Abyssinian, Ethiopian slave is appointed over you. So to listen and obey to the ruler, the Prophet is advising us, roadmap. He's advising who? He's advising the dignitaries of the Arabs, the best of the best, the cream of all the tribes of Arabia, Quraysh. He's telling them, if a slave who is from Abyssinia, who you guys used to buy and sell, is appointed as your ruler, you must obey and listen and hear from him. So the Prophet ﷺ is conditioning, is training the Muslims. Leave all your prejudice, leave all your pride and arrogance behind you, because you're Muslims now. And you follow the policy and procedure rather than you follow your own normal norms. You must obey the ruler. Now, this is quite difficult to many of us. When we don't have proper knowledge, we become impulsive. We become angry. We become frustrated of what's happening. We want change. We demand change. We want things to happen as we wish, not as in accordance to the Quran and to the Sunnah. And this is why we see around us revolts, revolutions, rebellions. And so many Muslims, once they see it, good, they support it. They go chanting. We see demonstrations in the streets, blocking the streets. They say peaceful demonstrations. All of this is not from Islam. So no, this is democracy, it's good. Democracy is not from Islam. So Sheikh, come on. Democracy, there is Islamic democracy, mashallah. Yani, it's like Islamic belly dancing. She covers the head and what is this? This is the new Islam that they are promoting. Now you laugh, but you will see it. I was once watching the TV in some Arab country, and all of a sudden I find that they're having this so-called Islamic show. So you think you can dance? And women in hijab are dancing. It takes two to tango. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. What kind of Islam is this? You have The Voice. You have Arab Got Talent. Maybe Malay Got Talent. And everybody has talent. And they are coming, trying to change, to make a shift in our society and tell you that this is okay. There is nothing okay except through the Quran and the Sunnah. So when we see these revolutions, we're happy. We think that this is going to be positive, this is going to be good, but it is not good because it goes against the Quran and the Sunnah. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, my prophet and your prophet. He said, you will see after me things that you denounce, that you hate. You will see people favoriting themselves, meaning the rulers. They will take everything to themselves and give us peanuts. And this is what's happening. When you give peanuts, you get monkeys. You want good citizens, you have to give them a little bit more than peanuts. So the Prophet is warning. He says, you will see this after me. So the companions, who were hot-blooded Muslims, started putting their hands on the swords. Say, okay, what do you order us? Give us instruction. Should we fight? Should we rebel? Should we denounce this? The Prophet said, alayhi salam, no. Fulfill your duties and obligations to them, and ask Allah Azza wa Jal for your rights. Meaning you have to obey, you have to be dutiful, you have to give them what you have pledged in your allegiance, and not restrict or prevent that. But at the same time, they're not giving me my rights. I'm not getting my schooling, my medicine, I'm not getting my finance, my money. Ask Allah for that. So the Prophet ﷺ is actually asking us not to revolt, not to do something that would have dire consequences to it. And if you look at the course of history of Muslims, you will find many examples. When people were living a good life, and just because a handful of impulsive, ignorant Muslims, they turned the tables, and now the whole of the country is living in chaos, insecurity, no medicine, no education, unable to provide for themselves and their families, unable to travel. What kind of a life is this? They do not weigh the impact of their choices. And this is why the Salaf used to say, when the fitna comes, only the scholars see it. The majority of the people don't pay attention to it. They're happy. Once it comes and makes a destruction and leaves, everyone sees it and acknowledges of its consequences. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever sees from his ruler something he detests, something he hates, he must be patient. For whoever goes a handspan away from the jama'ah, he will die the death of pre-Islamic era, of Jahiliyyah. And a lot of the Muslims know this and turn a blind eye, or do not know it to begin with. And that is why it is totally prohibited to go against the Muslim ruler. With all his mistakes, with all his shortcomings, with all his theft and embezzlement and favoritism, despite all of this, you must obey and you must be dutiful. As the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, only if this Muslim ruler becomes a kafir. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, you must not fight them until you, one, see something that you see with your own eyes, not people tell you. Blatant and not probable. Crystal clear like daylight. Kufr and not major sins. So even if he drinks, if he fornicates, if he deals in riba, he's still what? A Muslim. But if you see with your own eyes, blatant kufr, something that is crystal clear, kufr, not ambiguous, not probable, 100%. And number 4, you have evidence on that it is kufr, blatant kufr, from Allah Azza wa Jal. Not ijtihad from scholars, no, something that is crystal clear. Only then the Prophet says you may fight. Scholars added a 5th element, and that is if there is a possibility for you to win. See, if I see His Highness or His Majesty or His Eminent, the ruler, doing blatant kufr where I have evidence, and there is 5 of us, and he has of 200,000 fully equipped, I said, I will fight, jihad, Allahu Akbar. What will happen? He will skin me alive. No problem, changing tone of skin. Tan, it's a new tan. But the biggest problem is that he will affect the rest of the country with hardship, with terror. He will impose his tyranny upon them. And they have nothing to do with it. It's me and my 4 friends who acted on our own whims and desires. This makes it haram, because the result is haram. It says I have 25 minutes. But khalas, well, this is the end of the day. So even if we go on until 5:30, we have no problem, inshallah. Sheikh Ibrahim took a lot of time. Okay. Then comes the warning from the Prophet ﷺ. After he tells us to fear Allah, to obey and adhere, he says, those of you who live will see a lot of differences arise. So now he's giving an indication to what will come. You will see a lot of differences. And the companions saw that clearly. May Allah be pleased with them. Because things after the death of Umar, the murder of Umar, the assassination of Uthman, the killing of Ali, things went very bad. But still there was a Muslim ummah. Yet there was a lot of favoritism. And people favored others over here and there. Companions did not receive their respect as they should. So the Prophet is telling them, alayhi salatu wasalam, there will be fitna. There will be calamities and tribulations and trials. And fitna is testing, is something that Allah tests us with. It can be evil and it can be good, but it's still a test. The greatest of all fitna is, good morning. Hello. The greatest fitna of all is Ad-Dajjal. No prophet of Allah came except he warned his people of it. Every single prophet. So when he comes, may Allah Azza wa Jal save us from this trial. It's very scary. And there are other types of fitan. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, hasten to do good deeds. Let us all do good deeds quickly. Why? Before there come tribulations like pieces of dark night, when a man will be a believer in the morning and a kafir by the evening. Or he will be a believer in the evening and a kafir by the morning, selling his religious commitment for worldly gain. أعوذ بالله من الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. This is a scary hadith. What kind of tribulation that makes me wake up in the morning as a believer and by sunset I turn into a kafir? This makes me afraid for my own iman. And when the Prophet tells us that people would sell their religious commitment, they will sell their religion to the highest bidder. We look nowadays at so many people who claim to be da'is, scholars, muftis, and we find that they are selling their religion for the highest bidder. Nowadays you have scholars who are seriously like a drive-through. You go to them, excuse me, can I have 2 hamburgers and 1 shake and 3 French fries? And the sheikh gives it to you. Depending you are giving. It's a drive-through. Not proper knowledge. Not commitment to Islam, to religion. And the more corruption there is on earth, the more fitan you will see. And the more fitan there are, the highest in your reward when you abide by the Sunnah. Because your only way of salvation is abiding by the Sunnah. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, ahead of you there lie days of patience, ayyamus sabr, during which being patient will be like grasping a hot coal. The one who does good deeds then will have a reward like that of 50 men who do such deeds. Some of the companions said, O Prophet of Allah, the reward of 50 men of them? The Prophet said, no, the reward of 50 of you. Meaning that nowadays, when we are tested, when there is fitna, if we do good deeds, Allah would reward us as if 50 of the companions did what we had done. And this is Allah's favor upon us. May Allah Azza wa Jal make me and you steadfast on the truth. Now, the roadmap for facing fitan is to abide by the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and the sunnah of the Khulafa al-Rashidin. The Prophet says, I urge you to adhere to my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided Khulafa. Clench your moral teeth onto it. Clench, meaning bite. Your moral teeth, the back teeth, which is the strongest, to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and of his rightly guided caliphs. And listen to it well. He says, clench your moral teeth onto it. And he did not say onto them. Meaning that the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs is part of his sunnah and they become one. And he did not say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the sunnah of one of the rightly guided caliphs, but he combined them all, which means that they have to agree so that it becomes part of the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. But if one differs with the other, we have to go back to the Quran and sunnah to evaluate. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ, if you dispute in any matter, refer it back to the Quran, to Allah and to his messenger, which is the Quran and the sunnah. So if they, the four rightly guided caliphs, agree, it is part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, without even blinking. But if they differ with one another, we have to go back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And why should we follow the Khulafa? Because the Prophet is the one who ordered us. They do not invent in the deen. They do not come up with new things. Rather, they make ijtihad in accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah, and the agreement of the rest of the Khulafa makes it binding to us. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, Islam began as something strange. بدأ الإسلام غريبا, and will revert to being something strange. So glad tidings to the strangers. Who are the strangers? Asked one of the companions. May Allah be pleased with them all. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, those who are righteous when the people are corrupt. And what an honor to be among the strangers. Now, extreme terrorists consider themselves to be among the strangers. Secular liberal people say that we are the strangers. The masses of the Muslims go against us. Grave worshippers consider themselves to be among the strangers. Who are the strangers? They are who follow the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Those who have the conviction that the Sunnah is valid for every era of time and for every location in this universe. They are the people who implement the Sunnah in all aspects of life without compromising any of it and without being extreme in any of it. Nowadays, the enemies of Islam are doing their level best to undermine our religion. And they do this by what they call reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is you come to a topic or a product and you dismantle it so that you can find out how it was designed, the original component, and then you can have an idea about its structure. This is what they're doing to our religion. They are doing reverse engineering so that they can find out how to attack our Islam best. Since the beginning of Islam, they found out that if they attack the Quran, people would fight them. If they attack the Sunnah, people will fight them. So they decided to attack the carriers of the Sunnah. And they were the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. Until today, this is a strategy. They curse Mother Aisha, they slander Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, all the companions as traitors, kafir, except 6 or 7 companions, Salman al-Farisi, Ammar ibn Yasir, 3, 4 companions. They are okay to them. The rest are all kafir. Now, others would criticize our religion. So they say that the Sunnah is weak. There is weak and fabricated hadith, so we neglect it altogether. Other front where they attack Islam from is saying that Sunnah is not sufficient. It's not modern. It puts you back in the caves of Tora Bora. This is what I don't know what Tora Bora is, but this is what they usually say. So it sounds like, you know, the sauce they put with fish, tartar sauce, so Tora Bora, so maybe no. This is how they attack our religion. So they start to come and say, your religion is not up to the fight. You need to modernize a little bit. It is contradicting with one another. It is not suitable for Europe, for America, for Russia, for all the kafir countries. And the media, especially in the Muslim world, they open the gates to anyone who comes and criticizes Islam openly. So you get people coming with 3-piece suit, tie, clean shaven, and his name is Islamic name. And they put that he is an Islamic thinker. And I don't know if this is an animal, Islamic thinker, or what. I've looked into it in the dictionaries, I could not find. He's an Islamic thinker. It's like the one who eats riba. Eats riba, you know, he crawls around and eats riba wherever he finds it. So he comes and sits with a mug of coffee, maybe gin, no, not gin, the gin that he drinks. Maybe both. And he starts criticizing Bukhari, Muslim. And he sits and says, oh, this is not authentic, this is unacceptable, this is not logical. Akhi, where did you study? Come. He doesn't even know how to read the Quran. Wallahi, you give him one paper of the Quran, just read it. Don't memorize it, read it. And he makes 10 mistakes in a line. And there is only 9 words. Subhanallah. So they open the door, the media opened the door for these enemies of Islam. Why? They said, we want to rewrite history. We want to renovate the Sunnah. We want to have a new understanding to the Quran and to the laws of Sharia. We want to modernize, and we want to purify the Sunnah from whatever came into it. These are enemies of Allah doing this. Who's backing them up? The kuffar and the hypocrites, who are plenty among us Muslims. There are special American institutions found today, and I'll give you an example. RAND organization, R-A-N-D, short for Research and Development, established a while ago by the US Air Force. Now it's an independent NGO. Every year they give a report on how to fix Islam. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Look at how beautiful life is. Our enemies are trying to fix our religion. And they come up with reports. The easiest to understand their intentions from is the 2007. It's on Google. Google it, you'll find it in English. It explains to you exactly what is happening in the Muslim world. You don't have to point fingers. All what they recommend, 1, fight implementing Sharia. Easy as that. Do we find this in the Muslim world? Everywhere. They're fighting the implementation of Sharia. Why? Because this is Islam. So we have 0.001% of non-Muslims. We have to respect them. And what about the 99.999.9? Said, do not implement Sharia. They come and refuse allowing Islam to control every aspect of life, including education, including the media, finance, politics, our social affairs, our marital affairs, the way I deal with my children, with my neighbors. Islam has nothing to do with that. Keep Islam away. They refuse and object to any Muslim state uprising. Any government that claims to be Muslim and acts upon it, not just claim. Those who claim are many. A lot of governments claim to be Muslims, but what we see is definitely not the Islam we know. They oppose this. They call for the empowerment of women. On the 8th of March, I think, they had the International Day of Women. In some countries, they've almost celebrated it publicly. Women came into the middle of the market, not wearing except trunk suits and just covering their hair, jogging, stretching, dancing. BBC comes, CNN comes. Look, this is proper Islam. Next year, probably one of them will be the imam in the masjid. Seriously, this is what's happening in America. This is a new trend. Change the religion. Empowerment of women. Why would you like to be empowered, sister? I need my rights. Okay. Are your rights certified and approved by Islam? Says, yes. Okay, then call for Islam. Said, no, I want something extra. Then you're not a Muslim. Thank you. When you want something extra than what Islam gave you, your Islam is doubtful. So we have these calls by RAND organization. They call for the liberty of women. The women to be equal with men. Yani, I get pregnant 1 year and you get pregnant 1 year. Equal. How is this possible? There's something wrong with them. But they infiltrate the Muslim community and manage to put this. And they call for the freedom of religion. So you want to become Muslim today, tomorrow kafir? Go ahead. No problem. Propagate shirk? No problem. Celebrate shirk in the Muslim land? This is against my religion. So they want to change and undermine the infrastructure of Islam. And finally, freedom of sexuality. You want to become gay, heterosexual, quadruple sexual, I don't know. Maybe, you never know. Don't quote me, then they say Sheikh Assim is inventing things. We didn't know of that. Nice. No. It's bisexual or heterosexual. This is all what they have, nothing more. So they come and want people to acknowledge this to the extent that they're preventing people from even talking against it according to our religion. Do you believe that some Muslim da'is cannot go to kafir countries and say that homosexuality is haram in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam? And if they do say this, they either put them in jail or prevent them from coming to their country. What religion are they promoting? Nowadays, if you look around you in the Muslim countries, you'll find that most, if not all, Muslim countries are engaged, are preoccupied by modernization of Islam. They want to modernize Islam. And we tell them, why don't you Islamize your societies instead? Why are you doing it the other way around? You cannot modernize Islam. Islam is a religion of Allah. Allah is the one who gave it to us, and it cannot be changed. You change it, you choose another religion. They classify the Muslims in this RAND report. into three categories that we should take care of. The secularist liberals. In Islamic terminology, the apostates. They are kuffar. But they consider them as Muslims. Number two, the haters of the shuyukh. They're Muslims, but they hate implementing Islam, and they give certain countries that support this. And number three, the traditional, conventional Muslims. And who are these? They say they who do not find any problem in praying in graveyards. Allahu Akbar. I'm not going to elaborate, you understand. They say that the conventional Muslims are the ones who have no problem in praying in graveyards or worshiping graveyards. These are okay. Never ever you find one of them prevented from entering their countries. Because this Islam, they promote and they call for. And finally, 3 minutes and 54 seconds. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, in the last of his statement, an advice: beware of newly innovated things, for every innovation takes people astray. We commented on this last lecture and in the speakers forum. I would not elaborate upon it, but I will just give you glimpses of how the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, used to deal with innovation. Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, says, every innovation takes people astray, even when the people see it as good. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, as Sheikh Saeed mentioned in the speakers forum yesterday, the story where he went to the masjid in Kufa and he saw the people making innovative kind of dhikr. And he said, one of the two, either you know more than Muhammad ﷺ, our prophet, and his companions, or you're opening a gate of dalal and taking the people astray. They said, O Aba Abdurrahman, by Allah, we only intended good. And he said to them, how many people intend good but do not attain it? All innovators intended good, but they would not get it or reach it. We all know the reward of offering salat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet, one person in the presence of Ibn Umar sneezed. So he said, shoo, and he said, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. It's a good deed. Ibn Umar said, and I say, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad, but this is not what the Prophet taught us. Beware. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whenever one sneezes, he should only say, Alhamdulillah. Now those who claim to love the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam would object. And they would say, there's nothing wrong in offering salutation to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. If I tell them, if you go to the toilet, is it okay if I say, Bismillah, a'udhu billahi min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad? No, a'udhu billah, this is wrong. What are you doing? Touche. So it's the same thing. You follow the Sunnah, you're on the straight path. You innovate something, you will get people innovating other things as well. A man once went into the masjid of Medina, and between adhan of Fajr and iqamah of Fajr, he started to pray 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs. So Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, one of the greatest tabi'een, he said, my friend, don't pray except 2 rak'ahs. Anything more is wrong, because the Prophet ﷺ prohibited, and maybe some of you may not know this, it is prohibited to offer voluntary prayers between adhan and iqamah of Fajr. Any other salat, no problem. Pray 20 rak'ahs, no problem. Fajr, only the sunnah of Raghibatul Fajr. And if you did it home and you went to the masjid, you do not sit, you pray 2 rak'ah tahiyyat al-masjid. That's it. So the man, instead of accepting the advice, he said, Abu Muhammad, Do you think I'm praying to Allah Azza wa Jal and Allah will punish me for praying for him? Look at the logic. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib said to him, my friend, Allah will not punish you for praying. Allah will punish you for going against the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. This is the most important thing. And Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, it shows you how strong they were abiding by the Sunnah. He was once narrating a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, do not prevent the women of Allah, the slaves of Allah, from attending the masjid. This is addressed to the men. Do not prevent your women folk if they want to go to the masjid. So his son, Abdullah's son, the grandson of Umar, said, by Allah, we will prevent them. Because he's seen what the women were doing when they go to the masjid and go to the mall and buying a Starbucks and flirting and doing this and that. So he said, khalas, we will prevent them. Ibn Umar was furious. And he said, I tell you, the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, do not prevent women from attending the masjid. And you say, by Allah, we will prevent them. Go, I will never speak to you till I die. And until Ibn Umar was on his deathbed, his son is coming and apologizing, and he gives his back to him and would not speak to him. And this is why they earned their pride, dignity, and honor through abiding by the Sunnah, not like what we do, compromise after compromise, diluting our deen until it is a new deen. There is a lot to say about this topic. The hadith, inshallah, is concluded. The time has come to an end, but I leave you with this word of advice. We are living at the moment the days of patience. We must be patient. We must be wise. We must be tolerant. We must abide by the Sunnah to the letter. We have to, in order to counterattack this vicious war waged against us by the disbelievers who have these institutions after institution. They have the money, they have the power, they have the military. They're waging war against the Muslims, accompanied and supported by the hypocrites who look like us, who speak like us, and have names like us. So we have to be diligent. We have to remain steadfast. Abide by your religion. Abide by your Sunnah. Be proud that you are a Muslim, but again, it's a religion of peace without weakness, a religion of strength without violence, a religion of pride without arrogance. May Allah Azza wa Jal make me and you steadfast on the straight path. May Allah make me and you among those who abide by the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah make me and you among those whom the Prophet calls sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to drink from his pool and from the Kawthar. Innahu waliyu dhalika wal qadiru alayh. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.